All right, guys, here we are at the next translation of stage 14 of Cambridge Latin. And this is just a single page translation, so it's fairly simple. And it's the return of a well beloved character. So let's jump into it. So, Quintus advenit. So, Quintus arrives. Right? So, Quintus advenit. So, Quintus arrived to the house. Notice that, by the way, advenit, since it's a it can be either a perfect tense or a present tense verb in context because most of the verbs here in this passage are perfect tense. I'm gonna know from context that this is a present tense or a perfect tense verb, and I'm gonna say that it's easier to translate this up here in the title as a present tense verb. So Quintus arrived at the house. Salvius villa contindit et eum salutavit. So Salvius rushed out of the house and greeted him. Right, so both perfect tense verbs. Eum is that demonstrative pronoun, and it's from issa id, and it's referring directly back to the last mentioned fellow, which is Quintus, obviously. Mi quinte inquit expectatissimus est cubiculum optimum tibi paravimus. So, my dear Quintus, he said, you are very welcome. We prepared the best bedroom for you. So, mi quinti is going to be a vocative, direct address. Expectatissimus is a superlative adjective. Right? So, very welcome, the most welcome. Optimum is also superlative adjective, although it's an irregular superlative adjective, so it doesn't have that issimos ending that we're used to. It's modifying cubiculum, which is the direct object of paravimus. And then tibi is that dative of advantage or indirect object right there. It's a personal pronoun. Salvius quintum in tablinum duxit ubi rufila sedebat. And that means Salvius led Quintus into the study where Rufila was sitting. All right, so in tablinum, we know that that's in plus accusative, which means there's motion into the place. Duxit is perfect tense, and sedebat is imperfect tense. And ubi means where, not when in this case, but it's still a subordinate clause. Rufila postquam familiarum sum salutavit suaviter risit. So, right here, this Rufila is the main subject. So, Rufila, after she greeted her relative, laughed sweetly. All right, so postquam is a subordinate clause. It's a temporal one. All right, so sum is a personal. It's a possessive pronoun modifying familiarum. And notice I said her relative. So even though sum is grammatically masculine, right? It's matching familiarum, which is grammatically masculine, but it's referring back to a female owner. So it's her relative, but you couldn't necessarily tell that it's the owner is female because it's matching the gender of the noun that it's modifying. All right. So rufila is the subject right here for the verb risit, which is a perfect tense verb from redeo, and which is where we get the word ridiculous, or even the word risible, and it means to laugh. Right. And suaviter is an adverb, meaning sweetly. Caenam modicum tibi paravi, inquit tibi ostrias paravi, et garum pampeanum. So this means we prepared a modest dinner for you, she said. I prepared, and I prepared oysters for you and Pompeian garum, and that's a particular salty sauce. It's a bit like fish sauce. So, first of all, modicum is modifying canum, parawi and parawi. They're both perfect tense verbs. They're singular. Tibis are the two dative of advantages, right? Personal pronouns. Ostrias means oysters, and garum. Garum is a wonderful. It's a wonderful, very salty, very fishy sauce. It's an acquired taste. It's a direct object of parawi, along with ostrias. Post canum cubiculum tibi ostendere volo. So after dinner, I want to show the bedroom to you. Okay, so it's the post canum is going to be a prepositional phrase. Wolo plus ostenderes, that complementary infinitive, plus that dative. And then on top of that, the cubiculum is the direct object of that infinitive. Salvius post quam Quintus canum consumsit de orbe Pompeiis quaerebat. So Salvius, after Quintus ate dinner, was asking about the city of Pompeii. Okay, so postquam introduces a temporal clause. This is a perfect tense verb, so it happened before this quaerebat, which is imperfect, which was so he ate, and then Salvius was asking, and he was asking de. De takes an ablative, and it's an ablative about a topic. And Pompeios is going to be naturally going to be plural. Orbe is singular, but they're both in the ablative. And it literally means Pompeii town, but we're going to translate it as the city of Pompeii. Ubi in campagna militabam saepe urbum Pompeios visitabam. So when I was campaigning in Campania, often I was visiting the city of Pompeii. And right there, when, so ubi is going to be when here. Militabam, we know that is imperfect tense verb to mean to soldier or to fight. Saipe is an adverb. And visitabam is going to be another imperfect. Notice that Pompeios, because the city is naturally plural, it can modify orbam, which is singular, which is one of the only exceptions that we have in terms of it's not matching in terms of number, even though it's matching in case and gender. It's not matching in terms of number. And that's an exclusion that we've got for cities. Nonne illa clades terribilis erat. And then that's remember, nonne is introducing it's expecting a positive answer. So surely that was a terrible disaster. Right? So illa is that demonstrative pronoun, which means that. So surely that was a terrible disaster. And it's going to be feminine. So clades terribilis, you can't tell because these are both third declension, but they're feminine. You can tell by illa. So surely that was a terrible disaster. Orfila interpellavit cur quintum nostrum vexas non coram est difficile est quinto tantam claudem a commemorare. So this means, so the main clause right here is Rufilla. So Rufilla interrupted, right? It's a perfect tense verb. Why are you bothering our Quintus? It's not right. It's difficult for Quintus to remember or to talk about such a great disaster. Right, so let's start up here. So this is a perfect tense verb. This right here, actually all the rest of these verbs from the sentence, so vexas, decorum est, and difficile est, those are all present tense verbs. Cor is an adverb introducing a question. Nostrum is a possessive pronoun modifying quintum. We have the same construction of both decorum est and difficile est, although difficile est is taking this infinitive. And that infinitive, commemorare, is where we get the word commemorate from. It means to talk about or to remember. And the direct object is tantum claudem, and tantum means so great a disaster. And quinto is the dative with that infinitive in this construction. Rufilla ad quintum se convertit. Fortasse mi quinte efesus est, cubiculum tibi paravi, cubiculum non est ornatum. So we'll stop there for a second. So Rufilla turned herself towards Quintus. So she turned herself to Quintus. Perhaps, my dear Quintus, you're tired. I prepared a bedroom for you. The bedroom is not decorated. It's not fancy. So first of all, this is a perfect tense verb, and this is a reflexive pronoun since she did it to herself, but the motion is physically towards Quintus, so that's why we have the prepositional phrase there. Fortasse just means perhaps, right? Mi quinte is going to be vocative. Versus est, right? So that's tired. And then perfect tense verb, I prepared, direct object, dative of advantage, personal pronoun. cubiculum non-ornatum. Those are both nominatives, but remember that they're neuter. In eo sunt armarium modicum et candelabrum parvum. So in that room, the previously mentioned room, right? Going back to cubiculum, in eo. So in that room are a modest chest and a small lampstand. So modicum is modifying armarium, and parvum is modifying candelabrum. Salvius erratus nihil dixit. So Salvius, angry, said nothing. It's the perfect tense verb. Nihil is the direct object, and erratus is modifying Salvius. They're both. It's an adjective. That's a nominative. Quintus postquam cubiculum vidit exclamavit quam elegans est cubiculum ego nihil elegantius vidi. So what this means is Quintus, after he saw the bedroom, exclaimed, "How elegant is the bedroom! I never saw a more elegant." I've never seen a more elegant bedroom. It literally says, "I saw nothing more elegant." So literally, vidi is the perfect tense verb, nihil is the direct object, and elegantius is going to be comparative adjective, right? Before that, exclamao is perfect tense. Vidit is also going to be perfect tense. Postquam is introducing a temporal clause. And then we've got that quam elegans construction we've seen a lot recently. And then consentio in quid Salvius. So I agree, said Salvius. Present tense verb is consentio. And then cubiculum tuum elegantius est quam tablinum meum. So your bedroom is more elegant than my study. So tuum is going to be a possessive pronoun. Remember that it's not accusative there; it's a nominative, nominative neuter. And elegantius is a comparative adjective, and it introduces that quam clause of comparison. And tablinum meum is in the same case as cubiculum, which is nominative, but remember that they're neuter, so they have those m endings, and meum is another possessive pronoun, just like tuum. All right, guys, so that's the end of this translation. I will see you in the last translation for stage 14 in our next video.